Nobody has all the answers. And being aware of that fact is powerful for two reasons. Number one, knowing that everybody doesn't have all the answers means that if you are approached with something that you don't know the answer to, you will be more willing to just say, I don't know. Well, hey there, welcome to Mac TV, where we, of course, believe that transformation from manager to leader is such a crucial one, and that true leaders, they change lives, and they are having a profound effect on today's working environment. So today's episode is dedicated to helping you step into your new role in management, of course, with confidence, even though you probably have some fears. We're going to be discussing 4 of the most common fears that new managers have and how you can push past it even though you still kind of feel it on the inside. All right, so let's dive in. Common fear numero uno is the fear of not knowing enough. You know, this is quite normal. After all, you've never been in this position before, so the fear of the unknown makes total sense. Here's the thing that I think makes this one really hard, which is this idea that we have in our heads of what management is supposed to be. I think a lot of us kind of go into the role believing that we're supposed to know it all. I think I talked about this in a previous video. I think it was like one of my first videos where I myself had this misconception or this misunderstanding of the role. And I think a lot of it had to do with what I saw either on television or what I saw modeled at work. You know, a lot of the managers, either on TV or at work, walked around as though they had all the answers. And so I believed when I stepped into the role that meant I had to have all the answers. And maybe you even feel that way yourself now. But here's the absolute truth of the matter, guys. Every single person has gaps in their knowledge. Nobody has all the answers. And being aware of that fact is powerful for 2 reasons. Number one, knowing that everybody doesn't have all the answers means that if you are approached with something that you don't know the answer to, you will be more willing to just say, I don't know. And number 2, knowing the fact that you have gaps in your knowledge just like everybody else makes you more open to find the knowledge that you need to fill those gaps. So with knowing those 2 things, here is an action step that I want you to take. I want you to pull out a pen and paper and write down all the things that you're struggling with, the things that kind of keep you up at night. And then beside those things, I want you to write down a list of names of people that you can approach to help you fill those gaps. And by the way, I'm always here to support you. So if there's anything that you ever want to talk about, just shoot me an email, send me a DM. I'm totally fine with that. I will put my contact details for you in the description box below. Common fear number 2 is the fear of uncomfortable situations. You know, when I first stepped into my role, I was very much aware of the fact that I would be in quite a bit of uncomfortable situations, especially as it related to giving feedback or having difficult conversations. I'm aware of the fact that I am a cheerleader type of person. So I really hate being the person that has to tell somebody that something's not right or, you know, whatever they submitted isn't really their best work. I hate being that person. So I knew for a fact that for me, that was going to be incredibly uncomfortable. Public speaking was another one that I was really anxious about or really uncomfortable with. And I knew, right, getting into the role that I would be put in situations where I would have to do quite a bit of public speaking. Maybe you're thinking to yourself, yeah, Mac, those are my 2 fears as well. Or you're thinking, oh, I have a couple others of my own. What I can tell you from experience is that it does get better. The best way that I can describe it is that it's kind of like dipping your toe into the ocean. So you know how like when you first go to the beach, right? It's like nice and sunny outside, but the water is like hella cold. So what you do typically is like you put just your toe in the water just to like get accustomed to it a little bit, and then you pull it out, right? And then you put your foot in, and then you're like, still too cold, and then you jump back out until you like gradually get in the water until you're so far out you can't even see land anymore. The same thing applies to stepping outside of your comfort zone. Maybe the first time you do it, it's still uneasy, and so you pull yourself out. But the second time you can get in there a little bit more, and the third a little bit more, and the fourth a little bit more, until eventually it just becomes easier and easier. And so for example, if one of your fears, for example, is presentation. So if you have a fear of public speaking, which actually most of us do, then something you can do to practice kind of getting more comfortable with it is practicing in front of a mirror first, right? So that you can project your voice and kind of get comfortable with like speaking out loud. And then maybe you can enlist friends and family because they love you, right? And so you can present to them. And so you're kind of just like slowly increasing your level of comfort as it relates to public speaking in this case. So you want to take small steps when it comes to whatever it is that you're fearful of in terms of what you're uncomfortable with. Take small baby steps and increase it. And I promise you, after a while, it will get easier. Common fear number 4 is the fear of not being enough. Self-doubt and imposter syndrome are really high on the list of fears that we all have. And unfortunately, it's one of those things that doesn't really go away with age or more experience. We all experience it. The key though is to take action regardless of the feelings that you're facing. Because if you don't, there are serious consequences that you will face. As a very practical action step, something that's worked really well for me is focusing my attention outward instead of on myself. You see, a lot of self-doubt and imposter syndrome comes from obviously the thoughts in our head because we're so focused as to what we look like, what others might think about us. But if we focus our energy on being the best that we can be for other people, then we don't really have time to look internally. So what I want you to do is to focus your attention on your team, on your boss, on your company, and figuring out ways that you can be of service to them. And like I said, what will end up happening is you'll be so busy trying to serve all these great people that you won't have time to really think internally too much about how you appear to others. Common fear number 4 is the fear of saying no. It can be a really scary thing, right? Having to say no to your team members or your superiors or your friends, especially if you're a people pleaser. But sometimes you really have to say no. Otherwise, you risk stretching yourself way too thin, overcommitting on things that you can't do, or delivering subpar work. Now, something that I've learned in terms of an antidote to this fear of saying no is that having clarity really helps. Now, I know that I talk about clarity quite a bit on this channel, but it's because I really think it is super powerful. You see, when you are clear about the expectations of your role and the purpose of your team and where their efforts need to be focused, then it makes saying no to things that don't really align a lot easier. Here's the thing I always want you to remember. When you are saying yes to something, you have to recognize that you are always saying no to something else. So when you are crystal clear in terms of where your efforts should lie and where your team's efforts should lie, you will know right away what is at risk to saying yes to something, which will make saying no that much easier. So when you find yourself running around saying yes to everything that hits your inbox or every request that everybody asks of you, that is a sure indicator that you do not have enough clarity in terms of what is actually expected of you. So I suggest you get yourself some clarity. So there you have it, 4 of the most common fears that new managers have, as well as a few action steps to help you push past it. If you like this video, don't forget to hit on the subscribe and notification bell so you don't miss out on any of the insights that I share here only on Tuesday. And if you're looking for more tips and more advice in terms of team culture and team development and leadership development and so much more, then head on over to makitaandrews.com. And while you're there, take a look around and feel free to download your new Manager Starter Kit. I promise you it'll make a difference in the way that you show up in your new role. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a fantastic rest of the week. Don't forget to keep smiling, and I'll see you in the next one.